Hey guys, Toaster back. Got an ace tanker for you today by Sebecision. Actually, I got a double ace tanker for you today. In the same game, quite honestly. Sebecision is in his Tier 9 STRV 1030. It's a Swedish tank destroyer, and as I recall, I'm not a big fan of this tank, but as I recall, this thing has an insane gun. It has 288 base pen with 1500 shell velocity, and if you go to the gold rounds, it's well over 300. I can't remember, it's like 320 or 330. So we are on the map Live Oaks, and he is just sitting in a position trying to get shots on this ELC even 90. And if you look at the matchmaking, you'll notice that there are two E75s on the enemy team, and we have a AMX 5120 and a T54E1 as our top tiers, and neither one of those guys are really equipped to deal with an E75. I mean, the T54E1, if he plays really well, might be able to clip one out, but the issue with that is that him and a Carnarvon are the only things that went into the town. And so we're going to lose the town pretty quick, it looks like. And Sebecision actually makes some pretty good decisions in this game. He's able to read the map and notice when it is time to pull back. So this game's going to go pretty sideways before it gets better. And you'll notice Sebecision, he kind of subscribes to the Toaster way of playing World of Tanks, wherein he fires a blind shot and then immediately something gets spotted. that's just the way I play too, I swear. Just the luck of the draw. At any rate, there's going to be quite a bit of teamwork in this to bring it back, and so that's what we want to focus on here. It's kind of a slow game to start, but I think that you'll find it worth it in the end. And he's just trying to fire blind in third person at this where he believes the ELC even 90 to be. So at any rate, looks like the south of the map is being won by our team, but the north of the map is definitely being lost. Although 2 tanks have died already, and we are just 1,000 hit points down. But of course, we don't know exactly how many hit points they have in the south, what kind of damage they're taking. And it looks like one of our tanks did not move fast enough. Our Scorpion got spotted out, and he died very quickly to HE spam by the Squall. Those new light tanks kind of change the way you play, especially if you're in a sneaky light tank, because they can kind of YOLO you and cause a problem. He's going to hit a nice shot here. That 1500 shell velocity is definitely helping him out here. So this thing is fearsome. If it gets in bushes where you can't spot it, and it does have pretty good camo even after firing, but you get this thing in bushes where you can't spot it, it is a fearsome tank to deal with. As you can see, he has a little bit of the side turret of the E75, and he is able to just pen that with ease because the shell velocity and the penetration. So he does get spotted and he takes a hit. That is one disadvantage about this tank, is I think anything over 105 millimeter and also heat rounds from 105 millimeters can definitely mess this tank up. I think they're auto pens, which is part of the reason I don't care for this tank. Ouch! And there's another shot taken by Sebecision, and it might be time to fall back. So that looks like that's what he's doing, and you know, it's his teammate asks him to fall back, and he actually does it, which good on him, because that's going to help him win this game, I believe. So distance is your friend in this thing, because you don't have particularly good armor, especially against heavies, but if they can't see you, it's hard to shoot you. And you have excellent accuracy and excellent penetration, so in a tank like this, being at distance can really help you out. So I'm not sure about pushing this high up, because if there's a light tank in the middle, he will get spotted, and the sides of this thing are really cheese. They're really bad. As you can see, there's a Char Fatur in the corner by the cap, but that guy's not going to last very long, I can tell you that. I mean, there's an E75, an AMX M449 Liberté, an Objects 263, and looks like an XM57 as well. So things are not looking so great. But we're not down so much on HP, but he is down on kills. But he does pick up a very important one there. Takes out the light tank, and that's a great thing for his team. Now he is trying to get shots on these guys that are poking the... Looks like they're more than poking. It looks like they're face hugging that Char Fatur, and now they're poking the heavy tank that's out front. So here comes the Skoda T56, and I believe the Skoda T56 has like 130 millimeter somewhere in there, so he definitely can overmatch the STRV. See if we can get a shot here on the E75. That's an important shot, and he does take that shot and make a connection, so that's a good thing. This is very dangerous because he's going to be spotted all the time now, and so... But he is willing to take the risk, and he's able to snapshot. Now, snapshots in this thing aren't quite like snapshots in a regular tank because of the accuracy of this thing. You don't lose a huge amount of accuracy. And I should have looked it up, but in essence, the accuracy is quite good on this thing. So he does trade shots with the Skoda T56, and with that, he makes the decision it is time to run away, as the Skoda T56, for some reason, YOLOs the heavy tank in front there, the Patriot. But he does pay the price because the SMP is loaded and is able to help out. But things are going from bad to worse. Now it's 4 on 7. So they're almost outnumbered 2-1. And our hero he's got his spidey senses tingling. And he's right. He's right to look that direction. Because the Kari has decided to try and flank the 2 tanks that have been sitting near the enemy cap for quite some time. Now those tanks... were not necessarily in a bad position because they did not push and did not die pushing into the enemy's cap. So I don't necessarily think that they made too much of a mistake, but at some point you've got to do something. So I think that they waited too long and people converged on them. But nevertheless, it's now 11-13. We have 769 HP versus 3,300 and 4 on 2 here. And so looks like the Patriot is trying to fight off the Waffle. And once again, our hero makes a good decision to try and make sure that our heavy tank does not get flanked. So he's just trying to help out the heavy tank, which is what you have to do. You kind of got to cover each other and kill things fast. You know, that's part of the deal, basically. And sure enough, here comes the Object 263. Now, the Object 263 is a very dangerous tank, but the issue with that tank is that it has no gun depression. And so if he wants to attack Sebecision in his STRV, he is going to have to come way up and over. And so this gives Sebecision quite the advantage, and Sebecision actually goes into siege mode here wisely and is just attempting to hold off this Object 263. But it looks like the Patriot has more problems with this AMX M449 coming after him. So, unfortunately, the Object 263 pushes, but fortunately, our hero does make a nice shot and finishes off the Object 263. And for whatever reason, it looks like the E75 fires on the move, missing the STRV, and I don't know what exactly he's doing, but we've turned a 4-on, or 4-on-2 into a 2-on-1, and we've got this E75 in a crossfire now, but he does take out the Patriot on our team. So even though teamwork can take you so far, we're about out of votes as far as HP. So we cannot afford to stick around and have an engagement at close range. And our hero understands that. Sebecision takes off. He's trying to create distance so that he can create a vision game and actually beat the E75. You got talking in chat. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. I've tried not to clue you in until now, but your second replay might be someone that you know. So he's saying that the E75 is not the greatest player, and so even after the game, it's nice to bounce ideas off your teammate if they're willing to listen. If they don't want you to say anything, or you just say a couple of things and just let it go. It's their game to play. It's their game to win or lose. And you've had all the say you possibly can. But I have kind of spoiled it for you. This does end up being a win. So with the holiday ops, I don't know if you guys have had some suspect teams, but I sure feel like I have. So... but at the same time, there's suspects on the enemy team, which allows you to have great games too. So you got to look at it both ways. You can't just say, "Oh, my team's bad." You just have to get out of the battle and get into the next one and hope your team is decent on the next one. But I have noticed playing a heavy tank where you can get some early damage in is quite important, or playing a light tank. But with these Tier 8 auto-loading tanks that have just come into the game, my favorite tank to play is the ELC Even 90, and it feels like, especially with the YOLO in the game right now, that it is a hard sell to play the ELC. Now, we do see that Sebecision did spot the E75, and he is... I feel like maybe he should have waited for his binos to engage there and just sat there, because he would have been able to see the E75. But he does not get spotted nevertheless, because, as I've mentioned, the E75 does not have great view range, and the STRV has pretty good camo even while it's firing. So our hero does fire at the building, which would be a great idea normally, but that building has many walls, so he would be sitting there for a very long time. This E75 seems like he is pushing forward regardless. So our hero does reposition. That is something that you can do against players that are not quite as strong. However, he moves a little bit too close, and the enemy is able to spot him out. So there's 27 seconds left in the game, and there's not a whole lot of distance here. So we'll just have to see what happens. It looks like our hero does not get spotted through the bushes, which is fantastic. But he does get spotted here, and it's probably a good thing he does, because he baits the E75 into pushing forward, and wins the game with 1 second on the clock. So one thing I'll say is kudos to the E75. He was trying to win the game, and I can appreciate that he was attempting to do that. So good game on him. Let's go ahead and look at the second replay we've got today. Well, you may have guessed it. Yes, the second replay is my own replay, and I am playing with Sebecision. I'm sorry. I want to call him Cerberus, but Sebecision here, and I am in the Patriot, and I notice right away that there are 2 E75s, and we are going to be outmatched in the city. And so my play is going to vary accordingly. Normally, I would not push into this dip alone, but seeing that there is an Object 263, a Project Ion, AMXM 449, an XM57, a Ka-Ri, and a Waffle all spotted, and that the Standard B has sat fairly far back, has made me decide that I can go ahead and push this. And so I'm going to make a bit of a mess of this Super Pershing, but we are going to go ahead and get some shots in. Eventually we'll get some shots in on this guy. So, I think I should be shooting for the right side cupola from my side. There is a little bit of lag from server lag here, so you're not exactly always seeing where I'm firing exactly. I was aiming for that machine gun port on the hull. But, yeah, I think it's easier to hit the right side cupola, personally. That's just my opinion. The other thing that you can do is shoot the under the gun shields, which you're going to also see me do. So now we're getting a few shots in, and we're just trying to make sure that we keep this guy facing us, right? Because the Panzer Mutz has decided he's going to push forward, and that's great. He's able to get some free shots on this Super Pershing, and we're able to get a lower plate shot, which will go through if you have like 220 pen, and this thing has 232. So at any rate, we've noticed that we have already lost the city, right? And it is time to push back towards our cap. But I do see this Gasor decide he's going to push up, and he is in the wide open for us, and I cannot resist taking these shots, right? We need to kill this guy off so that he doesn't kill our Panzer Mutz, and also to get some free damage in, right? So with him dispatched, it's time to go back. And for the most part, you guys have seen how I play this, but watching it from my perspective will give you a much better idea of where you can hide your tank, and if you're in a tank destroyer behind, as our friend Sebecision was, whether or not I'm safe, right? And whether or not I'm going to get pushed. So we're going to go ahead and watch this. If you decide you want to kind of fast forward through it, that's okay. But we do have a double ace tanker here, so which I found to be that's an unusual thing. Two tanks getting aces in the same game means you carried pretty hard. So, and you will see that in the after action report if you stay that long. So this little hump is kind of rather safe, but as I've asked the STRV to move back, and he absolutely does, which is we just work together. Sometimes if somebody sees something you don't see and you go, gee, maybe you're right. Maybe I should go to this position because it's going to be better for me. So we are going to come up here and poke up because we just want to see if anybody is going to spot us. And the likelihood was really high that was going to happen, so I didn't stay up there too long. But I did want to see if I got spotted. Now here, we make a mistake. We're pushing too far up. If we push up to this area here, even if we can fire unspotted, which is unlikely, we'll get shot from over where the ELC and Squall are. And I've decided that that is probably a foolish move. And I should have pulled back just a little bit more, because this Object 263 definitely has shots on us. So, and it turns out the E75 does as well. So that's our mistake, and we pay some hit points for it. So, and E75's gun is no joke, especially if he's firing gold like he is. He has the penetration to go directly through my turret if he hits it in the right spot, in addition to my commander's hatch. So it is much more wise just to pull back and play hull down and make it at least tough for him to pin me. Now this spot here is fairly hull down, and so we're able to get some shots in, and we're not super effective, but we're doing our best here. We're up to 1,600 damage, and we're attempting to make our shots count. I would really like to shoot this Skoda and push him off of here, but the truth is I don't really have a shot. We are able to hit the lower plate of the Object 263, which is very, very weak. However, as I mentioned, it's very weak. However, the rest of the tank is nearly impossible for me to pin. It's really tough. There is a little spot next to the gun mantlet, but at this range, the likelihood of hitting that or even being able to locate it is very small. So for whatever reason, our friend in the Skoda decides he's going to push over, and we're able to take him out. I believe he only had one shot, so it was a really odd decision for him to push in like that. So at this point, I believe the STRV does not want me to push forward, and he's got the right call there. I should not push forward. I should be pushing back to help. However, I'm just hoping that I am unspotted. And in fact, as we go through the low ground, we are going to turn our turret towards the enemy, so that if I happen to get spotted and they hit me in the turret, there's a very good chance that I will bounce their shot. So at this point, we're not seeing anything, so we're going to have to turn our turret here pretty quick and face the other direction. And as you know, if you've been watching the replay this whole time, you will know that we're going to end up facing a waffle here in just a moment. Waffles. Sounds good. At any rate, we do spot the waffle here, and we're going to change to HE because HEs do a little more damage if you hit your shots. That's the problem. You got to hit your shots. So we're able to hit a nice shot on him, and unfortunately this only does 30 damage, and he's still not a one shot for us, so I've got to stick with HE, and I'm going to take a gamble, because the bottom line is that as I'm pretending to run away, the bottom line is that we got to get rid of tanks quick, because there are tanks coming in from every direction, and once I see this Object 263, I realize I have got to take this fight. I cannot afford not to take this fight. We do get lucky and bounce the waffle. One shot, so my great driving here. But we're going to try and cup up and over and hit the waffle. He is most likely loaded. And I came up a little bit too high, and plus we had a bit of a low roll there, unfortunately. So, and he had a really high roll, 634 on a 560 Alpha gun. So that's unfortunate. But we have swapped to gold rounds, and I do notice that our STRV friend has actually won his fight, so that's good. So we're angled quite a ways away to try and make sure that if he hits our upper plate, we're not going to die. Now, I should have just ran straight away here. I should have just ran straight away. I don't know why I didn't, but I did not. And so, fortunately, because the enemy is not the greatest player, he's going to go ahead and hit us, or miss us. And we miss a fairly important shot, and he is able to take us out. And so that is the end of our game. We've seen the other replay. We know it's a win. Let's go ahead and look at the after action on this. Okay, here we are at the after action report for Sebecision here. He did get an ace tanker. He also got a high caliber. Team score was he was second only to me, but 5,200 damage, 5 kills, 28 shots, 17 hits, 16 pens. So when he hit, he penned a lot. And he lost a few credits, also got 986 assists. So that's over a 6K game combined. But lost a few credits, probably does not care about that. And then he used one of his doubles or triples and ended up with 16,000 XP for his crew. So moving on to my game, I ended up also with an ace tanker, no medals. Ended up top of the team experience, 3,300 damage, 3 kills, which isn't a huge amount in a tier 8 these days. But if we look at the E75, there was 2 E75s, and he did okay damage, got 3 kills. So 36 shots, 26 pens, or 26 hits, 16 pens. I blind fired some, and then just missed some shots. Blocked 1,500. And did 868 for just 4,100 combined, which there's not many people that play super well in the Patriot, as I'm going to call it. And that's how I ended up 3-marking it. So we ended up with 21,000 credits with a premium account, which I don't usually have. You guys know that. But it is Christmas, and I got a free day, and also I got some boosters. So 11,454 total experience. So appreciate you guys watching. These are the games I live for in World of Tanks. I'm sure those are the games you guys live for too, where there's teamwork, where there's a comeback, where you guys are positioning correctly, and a team that thought they had it in the bag ends up losing the game. So again, thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time. Tonester out.